Get off me, you fucking drunk.
If you're hearing our voices, that means it's time for It's This Means That, the podcast where we watch the worst movies from childhood end credits, scene by scene, so you don't have to, but maybe you should. I'm Russ.
I'm Jared. It's another one where you could have also done the follow-up, which was, I am a drunk like your father.
So ridiculous.
That's what I mean, dude. The script was bad.
It's not good. I was like, that whole scene was so weird and so creepy. I'm like, why are you being creepy, dude? I am a drunk, like your father.
Your father.
I am a Jedi, just like your father. Jesus Christ. And we're back, with part 2 of our breakdown of The Snowman from 2017. Fassbender, Ferguson, J.K. Simmons, a bunch of people from Sweden, maybe some people from Norway.
Definitely the worst Snowman movie I've ever seen.
There's so many Snowman movies too.
There's a lot.
There's
more than you think.
Yeah, this one's the worst. It makes you want global warming to speed up, you know?
That's right. That's right.
This flat Earth of ours. All right, so
finish it.
Finish it. Finish him. Okay. All right. So
when we last left,
our hole.
It was
last time we left our hole. It was hilarious. Yeah. I think we left
Just
where we're here. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, no, you got it. I feel good.
No. You got it.
I feel good about what you were about to say.
No. You got it.
Do I? Hazmat suit. Our boy, our killer, dancing in Harry Hole's apartment there, doing a whole day dance. And Harry kicks him out, and then we find out that the guy had the hazmat suit, and the guy who was originally in his house doing the hazmat suit stuff was on the side of the street next to Harry Hole's apartment, just like, hey man, hey mate, where you going with my hazmat suit?
Petting his dog.
Petting his puppy. I'm like, what? Don't be a weird villain. So Jared and I had this conversation before we started. I was like, how did that exchange even, why did that even happen?
And I did a lot of
you did
interpolating. Is it interpolating or extrapolating?
It's a common of both. You like interpreted and then extrapolated and then kind of came up with something, but you sold it as if that's what it was. And I was like, is that
what else could it be?
I was like, did they explain that? And you're like, no. I was like, wait. You made me feel like I missed some major part of the movie. I was like, no, you're just making this up. You're like, well, yeah.
Listeners, here's what happened. So, Mold Guy is doing his mold job at Harry's house, obviously. Murderer shows up and is like, hey, if you let me wear your mold suit, I'll give you $20.
10 Norwegian, whatever it is, bills.
Euros, I think euros.
Yeah, they're in the euro. Same thing.
Yeah. Your kroner? I don't know. Norway bucks. And he's like, okay, yeah, sure, fine. Do whatever you want, man. I'm just a mold guy. I'm just a simple mold guy.
It seems weird. I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if I buy that fabricated story you've come up with.
I don't know, man. It makes sense. Like, tell me if you weren't a mold guy.
So
somebody came up to you and was like, I'll give you 20 kroner. If you let me wear your suit for the next 15 minutes. You'd be like, yeah, I only make 1 kroner an hour. So
1 kroner an hour. Yeah, But at the same time, we know that the killer is watching everyone. So I think so my theory is, backstory here, and how the situation played out, because obviously the script was 15% missed here, is that the guy was watching. He knew that Harry Hole's apartment was being fumigated, mold to moved, whatever, right? And he saw like, oh, the guy is wearing a hazmat suit, so he just got one, because when you're a serial killer, you have random shit.
Totally,
you've got hazmat suits. I think he just showed up wearing it, went in.
Then why would the guy be outside?
Well, I
think that makes less sense.
Well, I think the guy outside was just like, he was done for the day, just hanging out. Do you think
that makes way less sense?
Wait, what do you think? Then he was just there waiting to get paid, or
no, dude? I think he was there because the guy he was mid mold job.
Mid-mold job?
Yep. And I think that guy was like, oh, do you mind if I just hang out in this guy's house for a few minutes?
That's so weird, though. You can't do that. Why would you be like, no, I can't. You can't do that. Money talks.
Dude,
I know.
They painted Mold Guy as a pervert earlier, too. He was kind of a weirdo.
He was a kind of
money.
Weirdo. Yeah, his face tattoo and like...
And he's listening to like, beep, boop, boop, boop,
eyeliner.
Beep, beep.
Like, obviously, this guy's a killer.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Anyways, that whole scene was just set up just to show that the mold guy was not the killer.
That whole scene was set up to show that they just cut 20% of the movie.
20% of the movie.
Didn't even think about it for a second.
All right, so we're back at the police research HQ, whatever we are, library or something like that. We get the headless report. We're doing some research on that. And then who knew that Sylvie was pregnant? Because they had the interview with her. That's all.
Right. They interviewed the twin, and the twin, Chloe too, was like, oh, she did have a baby that then she aborted. And so that's when they're like, she had an abortion. Clearly, he's taking care of women that he disapproves of.
Right.
And obviously, it's Dr. Vetlison because that guy's a real creep. And they all had appointments that are related to J.K. Simmons somehow.
Get the pamphlet.
It's a whole thing. And you're like, okay.
They're leaning on this whole idea that the doctor is bringing his women in and J.K. is probably killing them type of thing, right?
Perhaps.
Classic.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic move. Go give me my maiden and,
I guess she doesn't really bring up J.K. Simmons too much yet because she's about to in this next scene.
Yes. So we go to the fancy house, which is the doc's house, the creepy doc's house.
Not the actual murderer doctor, the pretend murderer doctor.
Right. J.K. Simmons' buddy who brings around ladies and shows her their boobs. And he's like,
the human trafficking doctor.
Trafficking doctor. Classic.
As opposed to the murder doctor.
Yes. There's murder doctor and there's trafficking doctor. And
that's right.
Both play important roles.
Part of an ecosystem, a delicate ecosystem.
Very delicate, gentle ecosystem. So this is the fancy house that the girls, this first time we're back at this house since those two girls walked in the first time. One of the girls being the ones that J.K. Simmons was at the event, showed her boobies. Well, she didn't show them. She was forced to show her boobies. He's super creepy. And then we have Harry Hole and Katrine doing like an interview. And I feel like Katrine, she's getting like annoyed. She knows what's going on because she's been tracking this forever, right?
She assumes what's going on. Yeah.
Right. And Harry Hole's like, hey, can you tell me her issues? He's like, oh, Dr. Client privileges. He's like, well, she's dead. He's like, and the doctor's like, oh, he's like, you didn't know your own client was dead? Anyways.
Yeah. And then she's like, wait a second, how long have you known Arva Stoop for? And he's like,
that's right.
Harry's like, what are you doing, dog? This isn't how we do interviews.
You're going off script, bruh.
Yep. And then they make a big deal. The camera makes a big deal of his painted toenails for some reason.
Yeah. What was that? They were, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're like, who cares?
Yeah.
Guys are just living free.
Yeah. Paint your toenails.
Paint your toenails. Everyone should paint their toenails.
Yeah.
Don't you want to look good?
Look great. Just don't force your toenail painting on me. That's all. I don't give a shit.
Sure. You don't have to. Yeah. Do whatever you want, dude.
Do whatever you want. It's not going to be uncomfortable. I don't care.
That's right. And so meanwhile, Dr. Vellison's like, actually...
feel unique, however you need to feel unique. I don't care. Yeah, you're totally. Not. No one is.
No, everyone's the same. We're all going to die. We all got to eat. We all got to die.
That's it. We all got to pay taxes. We're all going to die. It doesn't matter.
That's right. And so he's like, oh, yeah, of course. I've known Arva Stoop for years. He's got like a weird German accent somehow. You're like, wait, shouldn't Michael Fassbender have like kind of a weird German accent? No, whatever.
German doctors are always like the villains, right?
Of course, exactly. And so then he's like, oh, yeah, we research on premature birth. And like, that's what J.K. Simmons was really paying for. They're like, well, don't you think it's strange that you also specialize in abortion? And he's like, no, not at all. And they're like, okay.
See ya.
Well, see you later. Like, do you live alone? And he's like, I'm a reluctant bachelor. And they're like, is there anyone in the house right now? And they're like, I think you need a warrant for that. And they're like, give me my lawyer. And they're like, you can get your lawyer when we see you next time.
Yes.
Dun dun.
Is there anyone in the house? No, they've all been aborted. All right, easy, Doc. So we're about the halfway point here, but then we are now with Fassbender's tech lady, who is...
Yep. There's a quick scene where Harry yells at Katrina for blowing up his spot. He's like, hey, what were you doing there? Yeah. And she's like, trying to get to the bottom of this case. What are you doing? And he's like, I don't know, smoking cigarettes and being drunk.
I don't care anymore. I'm still drunk. Are you drunk yet? Yeah. Should we be drunk yet?
Whatever. Let's go see the tech woman. So then he goes to see the tech woman without Katrina.
I was super confused by this. And maybe I missed something earlier.
Yeah, here's what happened.
Walk me through it. And hopefully this includes all of your interpretation, extrapolation mixed in.
It does.
Okay, good.
It does. So
lie to me. Lie to me good.
So he goes to the tech lady because he's like, it was kind of weird how Katrina was grilling Dr. Vetlison about Arva Stoop.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not kind of out of line. There must be something she's hiding. And so he's like, I got to get into her files. And so he goes to his tech lady and he's like, how do we get into her files? And she's like, this is easy peasy. Obviously her password is Cloudberry. And you're like,
she's like, what? Bitch, don't worry about it. I already got it.
Yeah. I'm downloading her Eversync profile right now. This is the first time that the Eversync profile comes back.
Okay. Right.
And so he's like, she's like, yeah, it seems like she's kind of filmed this Arva Stoop guy all over the place. Like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And Fassbender smoking 100 cigarettes in the background, just like chain smoking constantly.
you pound cigarettes when you do an exposition. That's what happens.
Yep. And that's when he's like, okay, interesting. Password Cloudberry. Got it. I'm going to go do stuff with that later. Let's say Cloudberry more times. And then they go to the rest of the larger part of the library where he's like digging up a file on his old pal Rafto. And this is where we get a bunch more backstory exposition about like, there's a local businessman who buys a company and it's Rafto. Or no, it's not. Rafto's investigating the local businessman who bought the company, and the local businessman is Arva Stoop. And then that's when we like cut to the train because we're on a train now.
Well,
right? Is there any more in that library scene?
Maybe you covered it all. I mean, the only thing I got was like, there's a scene where he went to like the police library thing, and Katrine like awkwardly, goofily popped up and was like, "Hey, do you need a ride?" It was like very strange. I think that was in between here.
And he was like, "Nah,
I'm good. I'm good, dog. You're a terrible driver."
And that's when he goes to the train because he suspects her because of the Cloudberry incident.
Yeah, and it was super strange, right? And then she leaves. And he breaks into her stuff again. He breaks into like one of her folders, or whatever, because that's what you got to do. You got to break into your partner's things. I'm not sure if they're partners. Not even partners. I don't even know why she's there. Why is she assigned to him? I don't even know.
I would never break into your stuff, bud.
Thanks, bud. I would never break into your stuff unless. No, I never would.
What? Yeah, I would just take your change and spread out each piece of change into a separate little paper cup and then staple them all together on your desk and then fill them up with like a 1/4 inch of water. I would totally do that, but I would never break into your stuff.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate that. That's a true story. He actually did that to me.
That was a good prank, wasn't it?
It was a pretty great prank. I don't know how happy the bosses were about that one, but
no, they didn't care. That wasn't a real company.
No, it wasn't.
They were like, "That's so funny, dude.
That's hilarious."
Like, he's gonna lose like 2 days of work probably try to get those apart.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. Yep, sure did.
Worth it.
Yeah. Worth it for the lulls. All right, so then, that's all that happened there. And then she left, and then he finds news clippings of JK and the creepy doctor. So he's like, okay, so he cuts a photo out of the creepy doctor. He's like, I've got this man now. Mm-hmm. Then we jump to the train. Oh, the random guy with a guitar. I didn't even notice. So hold on. This is crazy. So
this is the train guy with the guitar. This is the train guy. You wrote it down.
I love when things like this come together. I literally wrote it down because I was like, "This is
what a cool credit."
I was like, "This is so weird."
Like, oh, actually, it's Alexander John Lucas
Olson. And I was like, "Why is this? Where's this guy with a guitar? Like, why is this a thing?" And my line was, "What's with this random guy with a guitar in his way?" I was like, "Cut this."
Cut all of this. I bet it's in the book too.
He's literally just train passenger with guitar. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, so train montage, kind of looking at photos. He's going a big trip across Norway, wherever.
Reading the files. And then out of nowhere, pops Dr. Matthias.
It's like, what?
Hey.
So you only get so many coincidences, I think, in a story before you're kind of like, all right, someone screwed up here. You get like
it's coincidences all the way down.
I mean, stories are the basis of stories. You always get one coincidence to kind of kick things off, right? But then two, you're kind of like, all right. After that, shame on you.
Now you're just ready to be an asshole.
Yeah, you're just being a jerk to me. And I was like, right. It just so happens he happens in the same drain, and like, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then he goes off on like a big exposition-y rant about like, well, now we're doing hormone replacement therapy instead of scalpel stuff. And he's like, oh, I thought you were a plastic surgeon. He's like, little column A, little column B. I'll do whatever you want. They're like, what?
Oh, the plastic surgeon's the one who like cutting up the body. Oh yeah, oh, really? Duh.
With hormones? Interesting.
Duh.
And then he's like, by the way, how are those sleeping pills working out for you?
Yeah.
He's like, pretty good.
pretty good.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, so you canceled that camping trip with the boy since you're here with me on this train?
Because you f***ed up. Just want to remind you.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, God, I was drunk again.
Oh, no. And I was still disposed, like, wait, is he the father or not? He's so confused.
Yeah, well, and this is the scene where they clear it all up. And he's like, even though you and I are not the father, like, you're trying to be the daddy, right? And he's like, yes.
Why is this so convoluted? And then, so Harry's
they do a quick cut to the boy. And he's like standing at like the bus with all his camping gear, and he's like, "I'm ready to go, Dad."
Everyone's leaving on the bus without him. We're just like,
it's so funny.
So Harry's bummed. He's like, "Oh man!" And then Matthias, though, in the background, he does him a solid. He's like, "Hey, I got a call. It's my fault. Harry left a message that he couldn't make it."
He said he was busy doing detective stuff or something.
I mean, he was getting drunk, but you know what I'm saying? Don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Detective stuff.
Wink, wink, son. You know what that
Classic
means.
Inspector Hole.
Son. Which, if you don't answer questions correct, I'm going to slap your mom around.
Oh, no.
That's
just
how
like Uncle Jonas?
Yes, that's how I was raised. So he'd be like, oh, I forgot to tell him. Forgot about it. So Matthias does him a solid. He covers for him. And then Harry's like, I feel gross. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. He's like, you definitely didn't have to do that because now that's weird.
Because now
you're making a pile of lies.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So then we got a beautiful snow landscape transition shot of Norway on a train. Like, let's go. Gorgeous. I'd love to go. Let's go see Santa.
Sure.
It looks pretty. We're in Bergen. We got a little city rival.
This is the Ossencorp or whatever that we were talking about earlier when he was like investigating that company that was sold to that guy. And you're like, Wait a second.
So we had a city rival montage getting off the train station. We had a car ride, taxi ride, warehouse. And then this is a weird mix.
We meet the rich guy. Yeah.
Yes.
Another rich guy.
Yeah. So we're like the city harbor chatting. Yep. And then this also intercuts into like a warehouse. So,
yep.
So Harry's chatting with the guy from the 9 years ago clip whose wife went missing.
Like, oh, yeah, my family owns all of these, or used to own all of these buildings. And so the business wasn't going so well. And so we offered Arver Stoop a stake, and then he pushed us all out.
Yes.
And also was having an affair with that other woman in that picture.
Yes.
And he's
it
like,
was his,
what?
That was his wife, right? That was this
That's
guy's
right.
wife, right? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. And he's like, did she ever see Dr. Vetlison? And he's like, no. Don't
yeah. And he's like, did my colleague come by? And he's like, no. And then he asked something about his daughter, which did that go anywhere? I forgot because
no. Well, because then he says, where can I find the officer in charge of this case? And he's like, dead. Oh, Rafto? That guy's dead. Around the same time, actually, that all this happened.
Interesting. So then we cut to a flashback of Val in the bath.
Yeah.
Gotta get your bath on.
So funny.
Hilarious. Like Val Kilmer taking a bath.
Yeah. Just imagine it, listener.
Yeah. And he senses something. He's like, what is going on? So he gets out of the bathtub, and he walks to the bath, and he reads a note from the Snowman killer. It's like, hey.
Snowy footprints in his house.
Yep. This guy just sneaks in like Santa Claus.
Yeah, and he's like, the note's like, let's have a cup of coffee in your hut sometime. I know where your creepy hut is.
I'm trying to do the age on Matthias here. Like, how old is he?
I don't know. Like in his 40s. He looks like he's in his 40s.
So he's like 15 when he was doing this stuff with Rafko, or
maybe
20? Like,
I don't know. It's silly. It's all very silly.
I'll tell you what. This is wanting me to, I will say, and Joe Nesbo, I'm not a fan. I read one of your books. I liked it.
Sure.
I'm I might read this book just to see how much worse this movie.
It's probably better.
I think it is. So you know what?
It has to be.
Here's a tip for everyone. You know what? Instead of watching this movie, go read the book. Read the book. Read a book. Read a book.
Listeners,
read a book.
We're always telling you, read a book.
Read a book. Read a book.
This time, read this book.
Read this book.
Which is called something different?
I think it's just called The Snowman.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Go read the book.
Very straightforward and easy. All right, so we cut to, so this is another weird cut. So we get the snowman, I was about to say the snowflake killer, snowflake killer, no, same thing. So we cut to Val, the police station, and this is back in time, police station headquarters. And there's a birthday party going on. And we got his buddy there, who was in the Avengers, by the way.
That's right.
Yep. I
recognized him. He's got a face that's recognizable.
Yeah. Head, eyes, nose.
That's right.
And he calls someone, and it's so ridiculous.
Kind of a Nazi doctor.
He is a Nazi doctor in the Avengers, yes. But so he's like, so Val's on a phone call, and like, this is ridiculous. It's just all the heavy voiceover. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna come on down. What are you telling me? And we're like,
and they kind of hide his mouth a little bit, and you're like, don't.
Why are you doing this?
Why?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll come down there with a fucking warrant myself.
Yeah. It's like,
and
it's
then
annoyingly bad.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the doctor that we recognize from other things is like, I don't know, that guy, he was, because then we inexplicably cut back to the present day when he's talking to Harry in the same office, presumably, right?
Yes.
And he's like,
right.
That guy, he was a suicidal maniac. You're like, what? I don't think so.
And then we cut back, and then Val Kilmer's like escaping outside the window because whatever, and he's pissed drunk probably. And we cut back to Harry talking to Val's partner.
You mean Rafto? This guy? Did you check out these coffee beans on the floor? Doesn't seem like something a suicidal maniac would do. Make a cup of coffee?
Because he shows him a photo, right, of like the headless. Because apparently Val Kilmer's character Rafto shot himself in the head with a shotgun. Which, I mean, if you're looking to get the job done,
that'll do it.
Ask Kurt.
Yeah.
Rip. All right, Payne. That's why I don't think it's it was set up.
Yeah. It's a crime.
But what we learn is something about the coffee beans, big clue, and then next big clue is Rafto had a daughter.
Yeah. And also, we didn't investigate anything about it. It was obviously a suicide.
Yeah.
He's like, what?
Jesus Christ. So the police department in Norway is terrible.
He's like, I don't know. His wife left him like a year before that, and his daughter hated him. It was a whole thing.
It's because there's no crimes. They have no experience on how to solve crimes. That's why.
It must be.
But his partner's like, so he had a daughter, and the partner's like, no clue. I don't know where she is. Like, how do you not know? Like, this is your partner. Like, are you kidding me? You don't know that she has a daughter? He has a daughter, and like what her name is, and like anything about her? Like,
yeah, I think she goes by Katrina Bratt. And then it cuts back weirdly to Val Kilmer again. And he's like, and they're in like a garage or something at his hut. They're in his hut. Like,
this is his cottage. This is his cottage.
Right. His cottage. And he's like, what are you doing with my gun, you idiot?
So the cut was so weird because I really want to get across like the cut was so strange because like it went from like Harry talking to his Val Kilmer's partner and him being like, what about his daughter? And he's like, no clue where she is. And it cuts right to what are you doing with my gun? Yeah, with no understanding of like where we are, when we are. We're just at a cottage in somewhere in beautiful landscape of Norway. Yeah. And what are you doing with my fucking gun?
Yep. And then his head explodes, and then the killer puts a snowman head on top of his head. You're like, what? Like,
and
why?
The shotgun, and they showed the shotgun blast the head and the head going away. And I was like, that is terrible CG. Why would you do that? Yeah. Don't do it. Funny. Don't need to show it.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Comical.
So then back to the library.
But the other thing on that, he puts this snowman head on top of it, coffee beans for a mouth. That's why the coffee beans were on the floor in the photo. That's why Harry was like, what the hell is this all about?
That's right. Because the snowman head had melted long before.
Right. Because it's snow. And
that's right.
Snow melts. All right. So then we're back at the police little library here, doing a little more research, having fun researching. Katrina opens her drawer and sees shit is missing.
She's like, where's Harry?
And
that guy's in Bergen.
The other guy oh my God, this guy's hilarious. He's in Bergen. And then, something is up, and he's kind of figuring out her motivation, basically. Like, that's what she's figuring out. She's piecing this together.
Something's afoot. So then we're like cut to like some other random place, and the killer is like looking at is like doing stuff with a cell phone.
Well, I think we cut. So I'm going to tell you right now, from this point on, this movie's already been very confusing. But I think from this point, it's like just after the halfway point, which we've passed. Editing wise, this turns even more of a mess. Because I remember I texted you and I was like, you finished before I did, and I was like, man, this movie's a mess. And you're like, wait till you get to the second half.
Yeah, it's even more chaotic.
It's like chaos, absolute chaos. So I think like the first we get a quick shot of like back at the Val Kilmer cabin in like beautiful shots, and then we cut to the phone tracing.
They decided to do a transition for once.
Yeah. And then we cut to like the phone tracing scene at the police department. Right. And someone's like, hey, we got texts from the mom who was in the first.
Dead mom, the original dead mom.
Yes. Snowball mom. And they're flooding in from the kid. So the kid kept texting her and the phone kicked on and all these texts are coming through. And like, we've been tracking the phone. We've got a signal. We got something, right?
Yep.
Call to Harry, Katrine, but Katrine picks up. Right. And
she's like, is it transmitting right now? And they're like, yeah, I'll give you the coordinates. And she's like, I don't need the coordinates. I need an address. And you're like, damn it. Like, it's a Dr. Vetlison's house either way.
Like 2017, like you can punch latitude and longitude into Google Maps and it'll tell you where to go.
So she goes to Dr. Vetlison's house.
Yes. It's Creepy Doc's house. So.
And so we're there, and she breaks in.
Oh, I know what's going on right now. This is intercut with Harry Hole checking out Val Kilmer's cabin.
Rafto's cabin, that's right.
Rafto's cabin. That's right. That's what's happening. So that happens, and we cut back to the cabin, and we got Harry Hole breaking in, right? And then we cut back to the Creepy Doc house. Katrine also breaking in, so we got some mirroring thing going on here.
Yep.
There's a camera, but whatever, it doesn't matter.
Harry sees a thing that says "My Darling Cloudberry" on it, and he's like, "Oh, that's where Cloudberry came from." And he starts piecing it all together.
They all taste like cloudberries.
That's right, and that's where like, oh, Katrina is Rafto's daughter, of course.
Oh, great detective work. Know something about your partner, bro.
And then meanwhile, we see some snow prints going to in the footprints of the snow, right? Going to the garage at Vetlison's house.
Yes.
Like, what?
This was
so
like
she starts
the first
in the garage. Yep, from the trailer. And the doctor suicide exploded shotgun head is staged to look just like Rafto in his cabin. And you're like,
oh, good.
We're framing the doctor for the murders.
I love this. You just jumped so far ahead. Great.
I burned a bunch ahead. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, good. Forget it. Yeah.
I skipped all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff's stupid.
Yeah. It's so dumb.
Yeah, I don't think it was worth mentioning. Do you?
No. Perfect. So we cut to JK office, JK Simmons, out of her stoop, and he's getting a little notification, the plane has hit the second tower, and he's like, oh man.
That's right.
He gets the info that the doc is dead, right?
Yep.
And then we cut to the creepy doc office, right? Yes. Yeah. Because Harry's in there. He's like, oh, he shows up, and it's like an investigation.
I didn't skip that far ahead, dude. I think.
Yeah.
I think you missed something in that other scene.
No,
I didn't skip that far ahead because I was at the part where
you went right to the garage scene, which is from the trailer where the doctor shot himself in the head.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
But then Harry's investigating the garage, and he's like, how do you shoot yourself with a shotgun? Okay, we're talking about the same thing then?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Okay. And so, that's when his boss is like, it's a suicide, case closed.
But there's so much information right now. Katrine is suspended. She gets... I
thought I wrote that down way later. I guess maybe I didn't write that down. You're right. Yeah, maybe say some of that stuff because that was probably important.
Well, so he's the boss is there. His chief of police is there. And he's like, oh,
I think I blacked out at this part.
That's fine. He's like, how did he's like, immediately says Katrina's suspended. Shotgun blast. He couldn't have happened this way, right? Thanks, Harry. Bunch of bodies found in the house, and
we're framing the doctor now.
Yes, and the chief of police doesn't seem to be very helpful. I think he's like trying to I think he's like trying to cover up probably because he's under payment from J.K. Simmons, so he's like trying to cover up that connection. I don't know. I'm interpolating.
Yep. There's no way to know.
Technical ITMT term, interpolating.
That's right.
And he's basically the chief of police is like, I'm shutting it down. We're done. This case closed, right? We got to figure it out. We got a bunch of bodies here. We're good to go, right?
It's a suicide. Classic.
Clearly, he's protecting someone.
Yep.
Then we get,
and that's when we get to Harry in the hallway, which this is absurd,
amazing. This scene is.
I hate it so much.
Cinematic beauty. So we got back to the police headquarters, and we're in the hallway in the library, whatever. And we got one of his tech guy, one of the guys part of his team, right?
And he's looking at a file, and he's like, "Can I keep this?"
The guy's like, "No." And then Harry's like, "Can I keep this?" And the guy's like, "Yes." End scene. Cut that. Why is that even in there? These two have no rapport. These two have like barely spoken to each other. There's nothing here that like.
It doesn't make any sense.
I guess that's the 15% that was left off the table. All right, so we're a driving fast moment. Harry Hill's driving fast. Yeah. Katrine's not picking up, and then we cut to Katrine's apartment. Harry shows up. He breaks in because
Harry's breaking in. Yeah,
he had to break in, and then she comes out of nowhere, and he does a little shot.
She like tries to attack him, but he like judo chops her and gets her down on the floor.
Judo chop.
And she's like, I know it wasn't that guy. We were getting too close. It was definitely a different guy. That guy was getting framed for being that guy. And he's like, what? And she's like, my father would never have committed suicide. And you're like, what? You're mixing all of the things.
Yeah. And it's just like this whole setup of like it's very strange. I don't like it. It's very uncomfortable. He's like, the way he's got her pin, I'm like, why do you need to do this? Let her up.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Stop being a weirdo.
She was your partner a minute ago.
Maybe. You don't even know anything about her, though. You didn't ask any questions. You may have figured this whole thing out. But like, hey, what's your deal? You know?
Maybe that's why, yeah.
Great detective. Ask questions about your freaking partner. So then, confirmed. Val was her dad, Val Kilmer, Rafto.
Yep.
We don't kill himself. Exhibition about shit we already know. And I also know
Layla and Arva were having an affair, and it's the last thing that your father discovered before he was killed. And then they're like, isn't that convenient? Arva's safe and no questions are asked. And you're like, it's not that guy.
No,
it's not J.K. Simmons.
Stop. And
then she does a whole weird thing where she's like, here, have some vodka. Maybe that'll bring your balls back. And you're like, what?
What is going on?
And he puts a cigarette in it. And you're like, wait a second. He's putting out a cigarette in a drink that he loves to drink.
Oh.
Whoa.
Character change.
And then I didn't understand this. He's like, why did you call you Cloudberry? And she's like, because I like Cloudberry jam with my ice cream. And you're like, what?
That's it?
I don't care about any of this.
Oh my God.
It's upsetting.
So then whatever, she leaves her apartment and she sees a snowman, but it's double faced, meaning the killer is watching.
Well, sad snowman transition.
Because it's like one side, it's like a regular snowman on the back side. It's like creepy one with a coffee and whatever it is. All right, so we're back at Harry's apartment. It's just chilling. Like, boop, 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 boop. He's just chilling, listening to records. That's what you do. You lay on the floor on your back, get your favorite album on, headphones on, just,
That's right.
And then the ex shows up.
Oleg's mom, yeah.
And she says something I didn't really understand. But then it
doesn't matter, yeah.
We cut to Katrine's face real quick, I think, for some reason. And then we cut back.
We do at Arva's event.
That's right.
It's like Arva's at an event talking about Oslo winning the Winter Games again. And you're like, this doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Yeah, he's like, make Norway great again. We're like, oh, I've heard that before. I've heard that before.
Oof, hate
the rich
to see
guy.
it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was also like, again, I was like, why is he British right now? Why is he
bad British?
Yeah. So then we come back to Harry's apartment and ex-wife or ex whatever partner, whatever. They're chatting, and she's like, "Yeah, Matthias is away up north."
And he's like, "What?"
She's like, "The murderer is away up north."
He didn't mention anything about that the other day. And she's like,
I miss you. And we talk about
like,
the
wait,
kid.
why? Harry seems toxic.
Yeah.
No one should be in a relationship with Harry.
Yeah. I think it was at this moment. Well, did you have a moment where you realized it was Matthias? I think it was
like around. It was around now. Yeah.
Yeah, like this was it. Because like once they kept like because the whole married with children thing, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, this subline of this, right?
Yeah. Not the good kind of married with children.
No.
What would Al Bundy do?
But I was like, yeah, there was a moment where I was like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be. I see how this is going. I could see it. So
exactly. And so then we come back to the event, and Katrina is like, Arva, I'm a big fan of your work. I was also an orphan, and he's like, oh yeah, being an orphan's dope.
Love orphans.
Yeah. And she's like, why don't you write to me and I'll see what I can do about your fundraiser or whatever you were just talking to me about that I wasn't paying attention to. And he's like, let me just take a weird picture of you right quick.
Snap, like flash photo. Dude, you don't need a flash. You have plenty of lighting in there. Stop that.
And then he walks away and his assistant is like,
this is
by the way, Mr. Stoop wanted me to let you know how much he enjoyed your conversation. He's in room 472. And you're like, they talked for a minute.
Yeah. And then the best part about this whole scene, I think it talks about this, it was like, then he, his side buddy here tells her that and gives her the key. And then the camera just like pans over just a little bit. And JK is like hiding behind like a chest or something, just like, like watching from the corner, like, what?
Why?
What is this?
It's so stupid. It makes me so mad.
He's like smiling at a little kid over there. What is going on?
Yeah. And then we go, meanwhile, back at Harry's apartment, it's like, boop, boop, beep, boop, 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 boop. And his ex-girlfriend's like grinding on him.
Yeah, it's a little grind action.
What? You're like, boop, 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 boom.
And then she kisses him and they make out for a second and she ditches him.
Yep. And then back with Katrina, she plants a pillow gun in Arva's room. She's like, I'm going to bang him and then I'm going to shoot him.
Classic. Am I right?
The old bang and shoot.
The old bang and shoot.
Works every time.
Works every time.
Yep, and then we cut back to Harry.
But she also sets up that ridiculous device, that box that she puts on a shelf to like as like a camera or something. Like, and I was like, James Bond movies from the 60s had better technology. And she's like puts this big box in her shelf. It's got a camera and she's like hiding it. Like, what?
It's so frustrating.
Harry's apartment, wife gets a call from Matthias. Story isn't lining up as he suspects something. He's like, where are you?
Yeah.
And she's like,
where's Oleg, by the way?
She's like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I'm with Harry. And you're like, uh-oh. And then she goes back to the bathroom where she finds the prescription of diazepam also in the medicine cabinet that was once in the fridge.
Yes.
And she's like, she's all mad about it. And she comes back out and confronts Harry about it and says,
yeah,
you couldn't have asked another doctor. And he's like, what?
And then she just leaves, which I also thought didn't he throw those pills out the window?
Most of them, yeah. As far as I know.
So he had
kept
like
the bottle. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought he threw the whole thing
Maybe that's why it wasn't in the fridge.
There's a quick shot back to Katrine, by the way, taking her leggings off from the trailer. But yes. And then she just walks out the door and he's like, huh? And it's like, can you finish the conversation? Why would you bring this up and just leave? Like, be a goddamn adult. All right, so then we're at the hotel. Katrine's waiting in bed.
Katrina, yeah.
Shot from the trailer. Someone's at the door. We hear wire. We hear the zzz.
Yeah, and we notice that her gun is missing from the pillow.
Because Matthias knows everything. He's everywhere.
Somehow. Inexplicably.
Yeah, well, he's up in north. And she gets attacked and she gets the old drugged.
Yep. Well, syringe to the neck. And meanwhile, we cut to Arva Stoop, and he's like, and Oslo gets the winter sports games of the World Cup, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? And they're
Let's
like,
go. Everyone's happy.
Meanwhile, Katrina seems pretty dead.
We got the auto Garrett tool getting fired up and puts it on a finger. I wonder where that's going to go.
Yep. Cuts her finger right off. This is where Eversync 2 comes back in. So then Arva's walking around and he gets back to his room and he's like looking around and he's like, oh, there's not a naked lady here like I expected. How suspicious.
So that scratches him off as being the killer because now it's like, oh, he's just a creepy guy who likes women.
That's right.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the murderer uses that finger that he cut off to log into Eversync and then delete all the files that we know sync every 12 hours. And it's been more than 12 hours or less than 12 hours since the whatever. So it's going to get deleted.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Who cares? So we cut back to Harry's apartment. He's some coffee.
Doing snowman stuff.
Yeah, doing some
There's a snowman on top of his car outside.
Yeah. Right? He's like, oh, damn. He's good. He made a snowman on top of the car. When got his finger. Like there's like the Google Calendar for him to organize himself in terms of making sure all these things worked out.
He kind of earned it, I think.
He really did. He really earned this. Yeah. He's like, oh, it's a lot of work.
Put in the work, yeah.
Get the hazmat suit. Make sure that guy doesn't know, identify you.
Yep. It's all coming together.
All right, so Harry runs down to the car and opens it up, and who's in the car? Katrina. So
with no finger.
Fingerless. Her hands are tied to the thing there. Mm-hmm. And they do weird zoom on her hand, finger on the steering wheel. I was like, she's just passed out, right? She's not.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Dead?
No, she's super dead.
But we don't know that yet.
That's right.
All right, so there's we cut to our tech woman from the police headquarters, right? After
yes,
Katrina's missed her finger, she's passed out, yada yada. So we move to the police headquarters, and
there's no downloads after 7 or 8 hours ago.
Whoops!
And the last recording is of Becker, who is the first woman that got killed,
right?
The husband, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we totally went and saw that doctor."
God damn it! Huh? So Harry watches this over and over and over and over and over again. He catches something, and the way the husband says, the day we saw, whatever.
Yeah, which stupid. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
He drives the husband. So husband and we get a husband in a car hang. They're in the Harry's car or whatever. And husband.
Well, he steals Magnus's car. Who's the other guy from the library?
Oh, was that a guy who said no and then yes? Okay.
The other random guy from the library is like, "Don't take my car, please." And he's like, "No, I'm taking your car and your phone. See you later." And you're like, "Oh man, classic Harry."
Classic Harry, drunk.
Yeah,
he can't drive. He doesn't have a license. No, he's wasted. He should be driving right now. Anyways,
that's right.
So we're in the car hanging out with the husband Becker here from the first murdered woman, and the husband admits that the daughter isn't his, which was obviously very clear. And the kid slaps the window and is like, "Yeah!" Scared. So kids, get out of here. Go on, get.
Yep.
And then
here's what happened. We were trying for another child, and we thought it might save our marriage, but apparently I'm infertile, and that kid isn't mine, but she is mine, right?
Yeah.
He's like, so anyway, we were looking at some hormone specialist, and you're like,
there's a guy in a fish apron the entire time.
Yep.
You know his name?
Sure.
Yep. And then we cut to ex-wife or girlfriend's house, whatever.
Yep. She's vacuuming.
Yep. And Matthias shows up, phone call. Matthias is like, "Oh, where's Oleg?" And she's like, "School, you dummy." And he's like, "Is it Harry here?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, he opens his bag and he's like, "Well, I got something to show you." But we cut to Matthias's home. They break in. People are breaking in, right?
Well, so he does. She's like, "How did he convince you to give him those pills?" And he's like, "He didn't, and I didn't do it for you." And then he whips out some zip ties, and you're like, "Oh, this isn't going to go well."
No, that's it. Party over.
Yeah, but anyway, that's when we come back to Harry, and he's like, "Send someone to her apartment right away."
Yeah. We see some photos of victims at some point, right? Doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Is there some evidence here somewhere?
Yeah, something like that.
And then we cut to, is there more in that? I
don't think so, yeah.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
So
we cut to school, we got a car, we got Matthias picking up Oleg. So this is him just bringing everything together, you know?
It's the red Volvo. This is the first time we see, we're like, oh, it's the red Volvo from the beginning also.
Right. He's got
naturally.
Does he have a cigarette in his mouth? It's not lit. Is this the same reason?
I think so, yeah.
It's so weird. Just don't have that. Weird. And then the kid's the phone rings, and the kid's like, "Why do you have mom's phone?" Because Harry's calling it, and things going off, and then
and then we cut between the car and Harry a bunch, and it
chaos.
Doesn't really matter, and and somehow the kid ends up in the trunk.
I don't. This gets weird. So we get a profile photo of Harry drunk, passed out in the alleyway. Yep. Oh, because there was some weird like social media profile or something set up? Like, I don't get that.
Something like that. I don't think that. Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
And there's something about frogs kissing. This is a really weird, quick thing, and then, then he tells the police headquarters people to, like, track Matthias's phone or Oleg's phone or something.
Oleg's phone, yeah. Exactly.
Oleg's phone. That makes sense.
Get to wherever that is, and then naturally we go to Matthias's childhood home / cabin in the woods there.
All back to where it started. This is our mirror image. Here it is. So
Harry pulls out his gun immediately, and he goes inside, and there's like he's about to go inside. There's a fingernail to the door, which they're like,
that's
why?
Katrine's finger. Like, I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah, but like, who cares? And then we see from the trailer, when we see like he's opening the door, we see Dr. Murderer outside, like behind him in the shadows. And you're like, oh man, he knows. We
obviously figure out this is Matthias is the kid from the opening who couldn't answer his questions. He's a terrible student. But they of course cut back to that to remind us this. It's like the Scooby-Doo ending, right? Like, yeah, guys, we got it. We know.
We figured it out.
You don't need to flash back to this.
So then Harry tries calling the phones, and he finds the missing phone, and there's a knock somewhere that he hears, and it's Matthias, and he's like, oh, by the way, I have Oleg and Raquel tied up here at the table.
They're all duct up. Yeah, duct taped
with
up.
The Garrett thing around Raquel's neck. So what are you going to do about it? Have a seat, my boy.
Let's go. Let's have some coffee. And then basically we're doing the same thing the uncle did, right? Yep. He's asking questions. Every question gets wrong. Things are getting tighter around Raquel's neck. Yep. But we and of course intercut with this, we get these flashbacks back to when the uncle was asking questions. Like, we get it.
We know what's happening now.
We get it. Everyone who made this film, we understand. We're not stupid.
Nope. They're like, what happens when Becker finds out that Josephine that's not her father? And he's like, I don't know, nothing. It's still her dad. And he's like, wrong answer. And she's like, what about that woman? Was it right for her to get an abortion when she couldn't keep track of who the father was? And he's like, I don't know. It's her life.
These are factual questions. You can't be like, what? This isn't like asking me when the War of 1812 happened. 1812, you moron. Like,
and he's like, how do you have a boy and a woman devoted to you? It doesn't make any sense. They deserve better. And Harry's like, I don't know. I'm wasted.
Yeah. Then he's like, he saw the photos of Harry with all the medals or something. He's like, he was perfect for this. Like, I don't like the motivation here is not, it's a mess.
He's like, I assumed you had a perfect family, but then I realized that you don't. And he's like, last question. This boy who doesn't even know who his father is
double jeopardy
puts up with men like you and me coming in and out of his life as fake daddies.
Fake daddies.
Does his mother deserve to live? And Harry's like, I don't know. Ask
him.
You're like, way to go, Harry.
Yeah. I don't know. Ask the kid.
But then he does the sneak attack and grabs the Garrett thing and cuts off his own finger.
Well, then this whole fight scene is like the kid falls backwards or something, and then like
it's so stupid.
It's so chaotic. And then I love how Harry's finger gets caught in the auto cutoff move, and then he loses his finger. But then like this whole thing like turns into like a Sam Raimi Evil Dead, like really fast camera zoom in on like things. I was like, this is comical. Like. Yeah, you got to understand this is hilarious. This isn't like
Matthias forks him at one point.
Yeah, you get a fork somewhere, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and then they wrestle for a bit on the table. Forks out of the leg. Matthias goes running. Harry checks in the fam. The wife is like, "Go kill him!"
She's like, "Kill that guy. He stinks." And you're like, "Okay." So then we cut to the tundra. This is from the trailer also, and he's like, Harry's out there. I'm here. And then gets shot immediately.
They do cut to yes, this is from the trailer.
I'm here.
The scene where it was right in the trailer. Like this is him. This is the end of the movie. Like him getting shot in the trailer.
Yep.
So good.
I'm here.
Yeah. Frozen Lake boss battle, and like, yells for him. And as soon as he does,
he's like, I know why you blame her. You've been wrong the whole time, though. It wasn't her. It wasn't your mother who didn't want you. It was your father. It would have been better if you hadn't been born. And Matthias is like, And then he takes a step forward and falls through the
ice.
You're like,
that's
what?
That's how you're gonna end this?
So nobody got the villain. He just falls through the ice and freezes to death inexplicably at the end.
No. Climate change got him.
The real enemy here is climate change.
Climate change, because man, that ice should have still been frozen solid, but it wasn't, because the globe is heating up too much. So he cracked through, and Mother Nature's like, "Go f yourself."
Yeah, and then somehow a shot Harry like trudges through the snow and like gets back to the cabin, and they're like, "Well, I guess we're all fine now." What? And then it's like they don't do a title card for like how far in the future this is. It's like not the next day, but presumably a couple weeks later. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, enough time to get his finger fixed.
Yeah, and that's when they're like, some woman's been stabbed 24 times in the mouth, and Harry's like,
"I'll take that
time to get back to work."
He just raises his finger. That's all.
Yeah, well, he raises his finger, which I was pointing at my mom. I was like, I think that's like a weird metal prosthetic. And she was like, no, it's just a cast. They reattached his finger. I was like, I don't think so.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. We'll find out in the sequel that won't happen.
That's right. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
The end. That's it. He fell through the ice. He fell through the ice to die. That's how you kill the villain?
That's it. And then Harry somehow gets back totally fine.
I hate the worst. So the stupidest part about him falling through the ice is like this, like whole, like, oh, it'd be like, remember his mom fell through the ice in the thing and drowned in the car.
Yeah.
That's so dumb.
Yep.
It's too much.
How poetic? No.
Have the hero do something. Anyways, all right.
So how do we fix this?
I got so many
ameliorate.
Yeah. 2 hours. Let's cut this down to at least an hour 45 minutes. Hour 40 with credits.
More than cut a half an hour.
Cut the whole opening.
Yeah.
We don't need the origin story. Don't need it. How about you have maybe dive into Harry's actual like alcoholism problems here?
Sure.
Just kind of a mystery, which mysteries are fine, but maybe if you really pick a hero. Is it him or is it Katrine? Like, I also felt like those were like, like they
don't
were
kill
both
your hero if it is Katrina.
right.
Don't murder her.
Or how about have them become partners and focus on their relationship and him being an alcoholic and her helping him maybe or whatever, or vice versa or something like this. Like have that opposition conflict there between two people who are trying to solve something and like get in there. Yep. Like make that interesting. Yep.
Use the book more. I'm assuming the book was better.
I'm going to read the book.
The book's probably better. It has to be.
It's gotta be, right?
Yeah. Don't make J.K. Simmons do an accent.
Don't make J.K. Simmons do an
accent. Make his character have a point, like, or just get rid of it entirely.
Yeah. Have it like, don't be this convoluted thing. Like, make sure it's still connected in some way or form. I mean, I understand these crime ones. You need to have like the red herring, the thing throw you off, but you still got to kind of make it all somewhat tie together, right? Like,
yep. And also go one way or another on the murders. Like, give me a bunch of gore or give me like none. Don't give me weird CGI.
No.
Val Kilmer head getting blown off.
Nope.
Like, commit either way. Don't make it rated. This could be a PG-13 movie for sure.
Yeah. You could make that scene scarier without it being like so comical. Like, why show that?
Totally.
Why show that?
I mean, I guess maybe the cigarettes are a reason why it was rated R.
Are there any F-bombs in this? Maybe a couple F-bombs?
A couple, yeah. There's definitely a few.
Yeah, so that'll do it.
But, like, you could cut those too.
Cut
them. Either commit one way or the other.
Hey, studio, let them film that other 15% to see, like, what we actually would have gotten. But
yeah. Or also make it like some of the, from the last 5-10 years, there's been some really good, like, Scandinavian like thriller, dark thrillers
stuff like this. Yeah, noir,
Make it more noir then. Like lean into that if you're going to go this angle. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's so many ways you could fix this.
Yeah.
Don't put it out the way it is.
No.
Shame on you, Universal and working title.
And Perfect World Pictures.
Far from it.
Jesus. All right, well, how do you feel about that?
Pretty good, I think.
I think we've shipped another one. So
that's right.
All right. Well, this case is closed. falling through the ice, drowning.
Classic. A tale as old as time.
Well, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with a new movie in Trailer Trash. We don't know what that is. We're coming to the end of the year, though, so it's going to be a fun one. Probably going to be it's probably a movie that you actually like, listener, but we hate.
That's right. So, classic Love Actually. Go listen to that.
Let's go. Yeah, go check that out. In the meantime, follow us on Instagram. It's This Meets That. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. If you listen to podcasts, which you do, obviously, right now, set us to auto download. It's just a button. And if you like the show, share with them.
Or share with your enemies, people who hate you, like the rest of the internet.
Right.
Presumably.
No one likes you on the internet, period.
That's right. Yeah. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, they let you do 5 stars, maybe a nice little comment like, wow, those guys are cool, or wow, they totally don't sound drunk. Or if you're feeling old-fashioned and you want an email form to us, you can do that via email. It's thismeansthat@gmail.com. We'll read it in the Trailer Trash next week, perhaps, if you write it fast enough.
No,
like right now. Right now. Or just go to the website where you can find all of our episodes, 300 and change at this point, links to our merch. You get t-shirts, whatever. It's the stuff that keeps the podcast going besides our will to live.
Will to live. Yeah, pretty much.
There's no information about Russ's book Host, but you can buy that wherever you buy books, and a whole lot of other stuff at itsthismeansthat.com. Check it out.